My dear friend, welcome back to another tutorial, and today I'm gonna show you how to make this wonderful automated door hanger. This is gonna be a SimObject created in Blender. I have set it to open at 8 o'clock in the morning, and this is gonna close when it reaches about 6 p.m. in the evening. See how we can do this, and let's fire up Blender. Okay, so now we are in Blender, and what we're gonna do is create the hangar we want. As you can see, this is a normal hangar made out of a single cube, and there is nothing inside, as you can see. And the first thing that we should do to open the door hangar is to separate the doors. So this model has already the four doors, the four faces for the doors, but if you try to move them, they move all the geometry. They are not separated from the other stuff. So what we're gonna do is separate each door, and to separate them, I want to select the faces that each door is composed of, and I'm gonna press the letter P to separate the selection. So we have the hangar and the door. So let's do this for the other one. And for this one, I'm gonna create some more thickness for this. So I'm gonna use a look at modifier here. And press P and separate the selection. So we have now in object mode the hangar. Let's call this main hangar. It is the hangar number 3, and we have well, I'm gonna call that internal right. This will be door internal left. Oh well, this is internal and this is external, you know. Door external is the left one, and this is the door external and is the right one. Okay, so we don't need the hangar at this time. We're gonna work to the door, and as you can see, the door have no thickness in there, or we can delete this part here and delete the faces of this, and also for this one I'm gonna delete the faces. So now we can add a modifier, a solidify modifier with the thickness of maybe 15 centimeters. I think 15 centimeters is right. And also for the other doors, what is that? Solidify modifier and 15 centimeters. And also 15 centimeters. So if we unhide the hangar, now we can see that we have our door with their thickness, new thickness applied. I have to modify this so the door can slide in. So I'm gonna extrude this a little bit. Yeah. And now we are okay. So I can freely move the doors. As you can see, they are separated from the hangar. I'm gonna give also the hangar some thickness, because when we open the door, yeah, imagine this hangar as the door open. In the simulator, we see nothing. We can see transparent because the normals of the cube are pointing in the outside direction. We can see if we go there into edit mode, look at the normals. The normal are pointing outside, so we can only see the direction where the normal are pointing at. So we need to solidify also this mesh here and add the solidify modifier. I think that a thickness of 0.2 is okay, maybe a little bit more. Okay, 0.4 is okay, and we can also apply this modifier because all the inside has to have the same material of this corrugated gray material. But we can do that later, and now let's unhide the door. Let's do the animation for the door. So I'm gonna have this front view, and I'm gonna open the animation tab. in the front view. So make sure you are in the dope sheet editor and the action editor, and I'm gonna select this internal door, and I'm gonna animate it. I have to select the object. I'm gonna press E to insert a keyframe, and will be a location keyframe. And I'm gonna go to frame, I would say 80. Grab this and move into the X direction. So G, X, and all the way up so we can open the Hangar. And in this position, I'm gonna also insert a keyframe for location. And as you can see, if we play the animation, now the door is opening. And I like this default behavior where the door starts slowly and go a little bit more fast and then stops slowly. So we're gonna give this animation a name, this action a name, will be door into left, and I'm gonna push down the animation down to the NLHD editor. In fact, if we go to the non-linear animation, now we can see that we have the door internal left here, and I'm gonna call door internal left the strips. So let's animate the other doors, and I'm on frame 0, and I press E to insert a location keyframe. Go to frame maybe 100. It has to travel a lot more. Okay, let's move it right there, and I'm going to insert a location keyframe here so we can see the two doors opening. And this will be door external left, and push down to the NLA editor. Let's rename it. Go back to the dope sheet. And the same thing for the other door. So press. Go back in the dope sheet. E to insert the frame, location, and now go to frame 80. Let's move this in the X direction all the way out here and insert another location keyframe. So we have our animation done. Let's go to the right and push down in the Okay, perfect. So the animation for all the doors is done. Now let's change the material of the stuff here. Okay, now that we have our Hangar animator in the Blender, export this in Flex Simulator. So I'm gonna select all, file, export, extended GTLS, tutorial, and we can now continue in Windows Explorer because this is gonna be SimObject, because the doors are controlled by a sim parameter. In the case I show you, the sim parameter is the time of the day, but you can control it in another way. You can control it by pushing some buttons in the airplanes, like the yoke visibility or the landing light switch, all those parameters. And let's go back in Windows Explorer and let's see how we can construct this particular sim object. This object will be a sim object, so we need to move it in another folder, not in the model.lib folder. So we can cut it, and this we go to the package sources, sim objects, landmarks, and we're gonna, now that we have a folder for our new sim object, the structure of this folder is gonna be like this. There should be a model and a texture folder. So all the file related to the model is gonna go in the model folder. Maybe we need to export this again to create a texture. And also, before compiling, keep in mind that you need to have in your SimObject landmarks, your folder, your objects folder, a file called sim.cfg, and in the title you need to have the name of your SimObjects, and in the model you need to have a model.Xml with the XML file related to your SimObject. You can find those files also in the SDK samples, WinSock samples, package sources, SimObjects, landmarks, and of course you have the sim.gfg and the model.gfg. And before compiling, you need of course to have a line in your package definition calling your SimObject, otherwise the object won't be compiled. Okay, so I have opened it in Visual Studio Code, or you can use whatever editor you want, the XML for our SimObjects. The XML has the model info section with the new GUID for our model, LODs section where all LODs of our object are defining. You can see this also in scenery objects. Then you have a lot of animations lines. Each animation line has a GUID, has a length, and the length is the length of the animation that we have in Blender. So for the door external left, if you go to the animation tab, door external left is this one and goes up to 100 frames. So it's 100 frame. The name of the animation, door external, okay, right? Of course, one for the right and one for the left. The type of animation in this case is sim because we are evaluating the animation on a simulator parameter. The autoplay parameter because this animation will auto start, and we have another type parameter that is related to the part info section and is called with the same name, part info external right, than the node in our Blender file. For convenience, I call the animation strip and the animation action in the NLA and the animation node in the same way, so to avoid errors. So we have an animation line for each door, door left, door right, internal and external. Then we have a section where we blend together all the animation. Then we have the list of animation that are blended together to obtain the total animation, and each animation has the GUID, which is the same defined in the above animation section. And I don't want in this case my animation to loop, so it's not repeated over time, and I can also define a speed for my animation. So 1 is 100% speed, and 2 is 200% speed, and 0.5 is 50% speed, so half speed of the animation. Now for each door we have a part info section. Each part info has a name, and the name is the name of the node defined here. So this is the name in Italian. I will define as door. Okay, so I have translated all those stuff, and then we have the name of our node, the length of our animation. So for the external right door, the external, okay, so the external right door is external because it's the more external, is 100 frame, and the internal ones has 80 frames, as you can see. So 100 frame for the external right door, and then we have the behavior of our animation. This animation is calculated with this code, and let's write it in another way so you can better understand what this code is. If you haven't already, I have made another video on SimObjects where you can find another explanation of this code, but I'm gonna explain that to you right now. So we evaluate the local time in seconds if it is greater, NGT is greater than 28,800 seconds, the seconds from midnight. So it's 8 a.m. divided by 60, 480 minutes from midnight, or 8 hours from midnight. So if this value is greater than 28, then we have an AND here, and operator is always put after the operands in this code that is RPN code. So AND is less than 64,800 and 64,800 is the same. 64,800 divided by 60, and this is 6 p.m. in the afternoon. Or I put it another evaluation, the value of this particular variable that is called yoke hidden 1, so the left yoke is hidden, then I will play my animation to frame 100, so to its full length. Otherwise, I will play my animation to frame 0. If those two conditions, so if I'm between 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. or I hidden the yoke, then play animation to 100. Else, play animation to 0. It's pretty, it's not difficult, but you need to have some little bit of experience in programming to do this, to understand this. Otherwise, you copy and paste and you will be good. So this line of code, and we have a lag. And this lag is not easy to explain, it's not easy to understand. The documentation is really not clear to me. But the smallest the number and the slowest the animation. So with lag 10 and all those parameters I've put here, so speed 1 and animation length 100, that is 100% of the animation, the animation will be slower than the default. A value like 50 and the animation will be the same as in Blender, as you play it in Blender, more or less. And a value like 100 makes your animator really fast. I would say 3 or 4 times than the speed that is in Blender. So the same goes for all the other doors, except that for the interior doors my animation length is 80, so I go to frame 80, and then I close my model info that I have opened right at the beginning of my XML file. So we can now go to the simulator. Well, we needed to, of course, compile the SimObject and copy the content to the community folder, and we can now try our object in simulator. Okay, so I have loaded a flight in Flight Simulator. It's 3 minutes past 16 and 4 p.m. in the afternoon. This is local time, so the hangar is open because we are between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. So the hangar is open. Go ahead with the time. 6 p.m. in the afternoon, and the hangar is closed. And if we come later to the airport. The hangar is closed, but you know that if we unhide the yoke, now you can see the hangar opening for us. And if we hide the yoke again, the hangar will close. Okay, I hope that you like this video, and in the next one we're gonna do some work inside the hangar, because well, you know, when you open a hangar, cool stuff can happen. So let's make it day, and if I make it day, the hangar will open. It's okay. Okay, so you know, if you make it rain, it's gonna rain inside the hangar. Because the sim doesn't know that this is a solid surface. Okay, so in the next video we're gonna cover this the stuff, and we're gonna make the hangar without the rain, without the snow, make some work inside the hangar, and add some lights, because inside the hangar there are no lights at the moment. Hope you enjoyed this video, and see you next time. Bye bye. It's very funny, this opening, yeah, isn't it?